Hello, my dear friends. Very good morning to all of you. Welcome to science class. We are in chapter number 2. Is matter around us pure? In this lesson, we have already seen what is substance, what is the scientific meaning of pure, what is mixture, and in previous lecture, we have seen mixture can be solution, suspension, or colloidal solution. So in that we have seen solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. So we have seen another words homogeneous and heterogeneous in previous lectures. Here we have some example of solution. Lemonade, soda water are the example of solution. Generally we think that solution is liquid only, but here we can see that solution can be solid, liquid or gas. It may be anything. We have also seen one example of solid solution, that is alloys, but here one example of brass, we cannot say the alloy as a solution because we have already seen the reason. Brass is a mixture of approximately 30% zinc and 70% of copper. So brass is alloy of zinc and copper. After that, we have seen two important terms called solvent and solute. This is very important term, solvent and solute. Both this solvent and solute mixed and give us solution. The solution has a solvent and solute as components. So what are the components of solution? So that is solute and solvent. Let's read again the definition of solvent. The component of solution that dissolve the other component in it. The component of solution that dissolved other component in it, usually component present in larger amount, called solvent, which means solvent is always in larger amount in solution and solvent allows other substance to dissolve in it. So that is solvent. I hope you can understand. The component of solution that dissolve in solvent, usually present in lesser quantity, is called solute. So what is solute? Solute is a substance of solution that dissolved in solvent. And obviously it will be in lesser quantity compared to solvent. So that is solute. So now we have two terms, solvent and solute, and both of this will make solution. Example, a solution of sugar in water is a solid in liquid solution. Again, solution of sugar in water is solid in liquid solution. Why? Because we have water in larger quantity in which we add sugar and stir it well. So whatever is in larger quantity, that is solvent, and it allows another substance to to add in it. So that is solution of sugar and water. In that, water is solvent and sugar is solute. So water is liquid in nature and sugar is solid in nature. So we can say it solid in liquid solution. Sugar and water is solid in liquid solution. Let's see another example. Solution of iodine in alcohol known as tincture iodine. Mark it and remember, it is important for SQ. Solution of iodine in alcohol is known as tincture of iodine. I hope you heard this word tincture sometime. So that is the tincture of iodine is a solution of iodine in alcohol. Has iodine solid as a solute and alcohol liquid as solvent. So tincture iodine is also solid in liquid solution, in which iodine is in solid form as a solute and alcohol is in liquid form as a solvent. So we have two examples here of solid in liquid solution. The first one is sugar in water. We can have salt in water also. So that is also the example of solid in liquid solution. Let's see third example. Aerated drinks like soda water, etc. We have seen soda. Aerated drinks, which means it has gas in it. Yes, we can see the bubbles. It indicates that it contains gas. So that's why we call as aerated. Are gas in liquid solution important? Drinks like soda, water are the gas in liquid solution. Why? Because the water is in larger quantity, that is solvent, and the gas that is in comparatively less quantity, that is solute. This contain carbon dioxide gas as solute and water liquid as solvent. So which gas is there in soda water? So you know already, here we have written that this contains carbon dioxide gas. So in soda water we have carbon dioxide gas. The bubbles we are seeing in soda water is nothing but the carbon dioxide. So the aerated drinks like soda water etc. are gas in liquid solution because solvent is water and solute is carbon dioxide. So that is another kind of example, that is gas in liquid solution. Now this is the important SQ. Air is a mixture of gas in gas. So the air is a mixture of gas in gas. Air is a homogeneous mixture of a number of gases. Remember, air is a homogeneous mixture of a number of gases. Its two main constituents are oxygen 21% and nitrogen 78%. And remaining 1% are other gases like hydrogen, helium, argon, neon, etc. The other gases are present in very small quantity, comparatively negligible quantity. So, two components of air, oxygen and nitrogen. by percentage, oxygen is 21% and nitrogen is 78%. Other gases are in very less quantity. So air is homogeneous mixture of gases and air is a mixture of gas in gas. Remember, air is mixture of gas in gas. Air is mixture, not solution. So air is mixture of gas in gas. So here we have four example: gas in gas, gas in liquid, solid in liquid. We can have other type of example also. So this four is very important as per our short answer type question. After that, we have another important point, that is properties of solution. Properties of solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. As per definition, we know that solution is homogeneous mixture. The particle of solution are smaller than 1 nanometer in diameter. The particles of solution are smaller than 1 nanometer in diameter. 1 nanometer is 10 raised to minus 9 meter. Remember, 1 nanometer is 10 to the power minus 9 meter. So then they cannot be seen by naked eyes. So we cannot be seen by naked eyes particles of solution because they are very small and the size fall in the range of 10 raised to minus 9 meter, that is 1 nanometer. You have to note it or remember 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 meter. So the first point, very obvious by the definition, it is homogeneous mixture. Second point, the solution particles of solution are very small and its size is in the range of 1 nanometer. Because of very small particle size, they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution. What is the scattering of beam of light passing through the solution? For example, if you drive vehicle in dark night and there are maybe fog or let's say some kind of gas are there due to burning of anything. So at that time you can observe the path of light of your headlight. You can see your headlight. You can see the path of light of your headlight. So that is what scattering of light by particles. So scattering can be happen by the particles which are comparatively larger in size. So that is the scattering of light. Let's try to understand what is scattering of light. Suppose we have one particles, we have one particle of any substance, any matter, and there is one light ray like this. This is light ray incident on this particle. The particle is sufficiently large So it will scatter the light like this. It will scatter the light like this. So that is the phenomena called scattering of light. The light ray incident on the particle and it will scattered. So that is scattering of light. And scattering can be happen in for certain kind of, if particle is very large, scattering will not happen. If particle is very small, then also scattering will not happen. And as we have seen that in solution the particle size is very less. So due to very less size of particles like this, scattering will not happen. We will see in which kind of mixture there will be scattering, but remember in solution there is a no scattering of light beam. So third point, because of very small size particle, they do not scatter the beam of light passing through the solution. So the path of light is not visible in solution. Next point, the solute particles cannot be separated from the mixture by process of filtration. What is process of filtration? Filtration process is simple. As we have filtered the tea in morning, that is nothing but the filtration process. We pass the solution from the funnel like structure in which we have net. So that is filtration, but the particles of solution cannot be separated by filtration. For example, if you take water and add sugar in it and stir it well, it means we have now solution of sugar in water. Again, that is solid in liquid kind of solution. Now if we put one filter paper which is of very small hole in it, and if you put the solution of sugar water solution in it, what will happen? Is there any sugar particles on the filter paper or the funnel? No, it will not. All solution will be go through the filter paper. So important point, the solute particles cannot be separate from the mixture by process of filtration. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed, that is a solution, that is solution is stable. As we have seen in previous activity, if we put chalk or flour, wheat flour in the water and leave it for some time, what will happen? The chalk particles or wheat flour will settle down, but in solution, let's take the example of sugar in water solution. The sugar will not settle down if you leave it for some time. It means that solution is stable, which means that solution is stable. So these all are the properties of solution. Four property. First one is solution is homogeneous mixture. You can remember it by definition. Particles of solutions are very small, that is in the range of nanometer. We cannot see by naked eyes. Third point is from the second point only. If you remember, the size of particle is very small. Next point is from the small particle size only. That is due to the small particles, they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution. So the path of light is not visible in the solution. Fourth point, particles cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed for some time. So that means that solution is stable. So you remember only word stable, and by this word you will write one or two lines from this word stable. Now we have important term called concentration of solution. Concentration of solution. We already know what is the concentration of solution. We already know what is the concentration of solution, but we will see in scientific language what is the concentration. By mathematic formulation, what is concentration. For example, we have lemonade, or we can say nimbu pani. If you add one lemon in one glass of nimbu pani, it has some taste of lemon. But in the same size of glass, if you add two lemons, what will happen? The other one will have more taste of lemon, more sour taste. So that is what we called as concentration in scientific language. What we do to make food more spicy? We add more chili powder in it. So if the food is very spicy, we can say that the concentration of chili powder is high. If food is not much spicy, we can say the concentration of chili powder is less. So that is all about concentration. That is not new concept, but here in chemistry we will learn it with more depth, with more clarity, and with more mathematical solution and mathematical formation. So topic number 2.2.1, that is concentration of solution. In activity 2, we observe that group A and group B obtain different shade of solution. We have seen activity number 2.2, in which we have both group A and B has copper sulfate, but the quantity of copper sulfate is different. You can see here few crystals of copper sulfate to group A. Group A has few crystals of copper sulfate. On the other hand, group B has one spatula full of copper sulfate, which means group A has less quantity of copper sulfate, whereas group B has larger quantity of copper sulfate. So that is what we can see in activity number 2.2. So obvious that the color and the shade of solution will be different. You can imagine that the solution of A will be lighter and solution of B, group B, is darker. We understand that in a solution the relative proportion of the solution and solvent can be varied. What is relative proportion? We will see relative proportion, which means in how much quantity of solvent you dissolve solute. That is proportion, relative proportion. Depending upon the amount of solute present in solution, it can be called dilute, concentrated, and saturated solution. Here the important point, we have three kind of solution: dilute solution, concentrated solution, and saturated solution, based on which we can say that the solution is dilute, concentrated or saturated. So here note this, depending on the amount of solute present in solution, it can be dilute, concentrated or saturated solution. Three type of solution: dilute, concentrated and saturated solution, and it is dependent on the quantity of solute dissolved in solution. So that is three type. We will see the definition of both all three. In activity number 2.2, the solution obtained by group A is dilute as compared to obtained by B. In activity number 2, we have seen that the group A has smaller quantity or comparatively less quantity of copper sulfate compared to group B. So that is the relative term, comparative term, that the A is dilute as compared to that obtained by group B. Now let's say we have group number E that has only one crystal of copper sulfate. Again, we have group E and it has only one crystal of copper sulfate. So now we can say that group E is dilute, or solution E is dilute as compared to obtained by group A. So now solution of group A is concentrated compared to group E. But if we compare group A and group B, solution A or the solution obtained by group A is dilute and obtained by group B is concentrated. That is, I hope you can understand comparative term. Now we have activity number 2.3. Take approximately 50 ml of water, each in two separate beakers. Add salt in one beaker and sugar or barium chloride in second beaker with continuous stirring. Take approximately 50 ml of water, each in two separate beakers. Add salt in one beaker, sugar or barium chloride in another beaker and stir it well. When no more solute can be dissolved, heat the content of beaker and start adding solute again. Now suppose I have beaker in which I have water. I add salt in it, stir it, it will dissolve. Now I add more salt in it, stir it, it will dissolve. Now I add more salt in it, stir it, it will dissolve. But at some point of time, what will happen? If I add the salt and stir it, it will not dissolve in it. So now I start adding heat in it, which means I heat the solution, put it on the burner. And now if I stir it, I can see that the solution, which means the solute, that is salt, is now dissolving in water. So that is the observation. When we heat the solution, the diluting capacity, or we can say dissolving capacity of solution increases. That is the relation of temperature and capacity of dissolving of solution, or we can say solvent. So I hope you can understand the points clearly of solution. What is solvent, what is solute, what are the properties of solution, and how solute dissolved in solution.